Okay. Help if I had headphones. These look like headphones. All right. We have volume. Okay, we have a good working mic. Now let's get the old tablet booted up. And let me find my stylus. Come on, boot up. You're fully charged. Boot up. Come on, tablet, boot up. Hey, look who's here. How's this mic sound? Okay. I figured I'd switch the background, switch the mic. I'm thinking of doing a background a day. Christ, I've got 30 of them. Is my. Okay. It's showing my audio's all right. I should do sound checks, you know. I should check. I should check first. Come on, tablet. Oh my God. Finally. Up. Finally. Takes forever here. We have to get rid of a few things. Okay, we got to go there. We got to go there. Shut that down. Okay. Sounds good. Great. Man, I've been watching. Yeah, the Ronbo's here, Rudy's here, the gang's all here. Let's get rolling. Come on, shut up. Jesus. Oh, it just went blank. Okay. Broadcasting live from station WDWL TV. In the news studio, it's me, the grumpy old man, brought to you by Grumpy Vulture Productions. No bow. Thank you. Oh, I've been watching different news stories all day long since last night. Holy Christ. Man, that UPS, that I'll tell you what. They did not have a chance. As that thing rolled down the runway, when that engine fell off, there was a 2-inch diameter pipe blowing fuel, which ignited. They only made it 175 feet off the runway. And then it dipped left, and man, a half mile of carnage. That fire was unbelievable. It's hard to believe that by 10:30 they actually had it contained. But that was sad because as that plane started to roll and the engine fell off, those three crew members in that plane knew. They knew what was going to happen. And it's nasty to say, but they were literally seeing their death coming. Louisville, Muhammad Ali Airport in Louisville, Kentucky. Yesterday at 5:15, a UPS MD-11 started its runway roll. As it was rolling down the runway, the left engine fell off the wing, started a fire, and they only got 175 feet off the ground. And then when it come down, it left a half mile of flaming carnage. Last news story was 12 dead and 15 injured, but there's a lot of people missing. Very sad. Very sad. I feel sorry for the three crew members. The pilot and the co-pilot, and I can't remember who the third guy is. But when they got the end of the runway and that plane wasn't lifting off, and it started to bank towards the left, they saw their death coming. There was nothing. There was no saving that plane. And boy, when it hit, oh God, the carnage! Like I say, there's a half mile of just the fires were unbelievable. As of the last news story, they have recovered both of the black boxes, and now they have to determine why that engine fell off. Because the MD-11, the McDonnell Douglas MD-11, is the one that's got the engine in the tail. So you have an engine on each wing, and then you got the engine in the tail. It was originally in 1991. It was delivered to Thai Airways International, and then UPS bought it and converted it to a cargo plane. But they have video of that plane on its takeoff roll, and then all of a sudden you see flame coming out of the left wing, and the engine is laying on the edge of the runway. Fell right off the fucking plane. No, Kathy, they couldn't do anything. The plane got about, they said, 175 feet off the ground. It was doing about, let's see here, 186 knots, 214 miles an hour. And they had no control. They literally knew it was it. No time to thank your maker, nothing. They saw it coming. And when it hit, it was just one giant fireball. Although it had 38,000 gallons of fuel, because it was originally going to Honolulu, Hawaii. So it was the tanks were full right to the top. So sad. So sad. Right now, they're looking for people that are listed as missing because the plane went through a UPS supplier warehouse. Well, there's a half mile of carnage. It took that long for that plane to finally come to a stop. But as it did, it was spewing jet fuel. Of course, the big final explosion didn't help much. Yeah, there's all kind of news video. Matter of fact, an employee filmed that plane on fire going down the runway. There's all kinds of angles. There's one camera that was in a truck parking lot that shows that plane as it cleared the fence at the end of the runway, dipping to the left and going right by. There was a guy sitting in his truck. He was like, holy shit. But the carnage is just, oh, God, the fires last night. It looked like California wildfire. Of course, they had all the aerial shots and that. But it was amazing that by 10:30, the fire department actually had enough of the fire put out that the NTSB could go in and retrieve the black boxes. I always thought it would be neat to be one of their investigators. Can you imagine how hot it was? And they're in there retrieving them black boxes. They said right now, they don't know a cause. Well, when an engine falls off on takeoff, I would say that's a pretty good cause. All right, park it already. Thank you. Yeah, for the last. Well, I saw the news last night. And this morning, I started watching all the news stories, and I'll tell you what, every news station wants to really be on top of things. This one news station had this guy on the phone. Now it says he's a pilot, also an attorney. Now, they didn't say what kind of pilot. Does he fly a 787 Dreamliner, or does he fly a little two-seat Piper Cub? All of a sudden, he's an expert. I'll tell you what, it was getting hilarious watching the different news stations, and everybody had an expert. And they're showing the video. The plane going down the runway, all of a sudden flame, The engine gone, and the guy's like, well, on the MD-11, it has three engines, and they said there were three crew members, and they wanted him to kind of narrate the video. They're showing the video. The guy was off in space somewhere. Yeah, the black boxes are already in Washington. They ship them suckers out pronto. But yeah, the black boxes aren't really going to tell much. I mean, it's obvious. An engine is not supposed to fall off a plane. And this has happened over the years. I remember, God, it's got to be 25, maybe 30 years ago, a TWA or an American Airlines, I can't remember, or Delta, I can't remember what airline. This, the traffic controller saw the engine fall off, and he radioed to the pilot, "You just lost an engine." And then the pilot was like, "Well, we're going to lose the plane." And they did. And I remember on that investigation, they determined that the maintenance crew was cheating on taking the engine off and putting it back on. They were shortcutting. And the engine mounts on a pylon. And what happened was, by skipping steps and cheating, they stress cracked the pylon. So when they put the engine back on, and they didn't really test it, he started it up. Okay, it runs. But as the plane powered up for takeoff, that stress crack got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then the engine fell off. So, God help a maintenance crew that didn't do things right. You know, the NTSB has said in the past, the manufacturer writes pages and pages and pages of proper instructions on how to remove a part and put it back onto a plane. But no, they say, okay, it's going to take 12 hours to take the engine off. Well, if we shortcut this and we shortcut that, we can have that engine off in 7. So, of course, the plane was built in 1991. How many times have those engines been on and off the plane? And did anybody really do a proper inspection of the pylon? They're supposed to X-ray to see if there's any stress cracks. That's going to be the big part of the investigation. Why did that engine fall off? And, looking on the other side, it's best, even though there was, death and carnage, it's best that that engine fell off at that point in time rather than them flying over a big major city and that engine fall off. Can you imagine if that thing crashed like in Salt Lake City or downtown Los Angeles? I mean, mainly what they had was, a lot of warehouses and stuff that it hit. But can you imagine that thing going down in the middle of a metropolis? But, you know, and, you've got the engine. The major problem is the pylon that the engine mounts to is destroyed. So if it was pylon failure, how are you really going to know? Because when the plane come down, it come down on the left wing. So all of that stuff is gone. Yeah, right. I mean, you're carrying valuable cargo on that bus. You can't shortcut anything. But a lot of drivers don't think that way. I would almost bet my next social security check that 80% of the drivers for the Cleveland public school system just do a quick walk around to go, okay, bus starts. I got air pressure. I'm good. See ya. Oh, come on. When I was hauling steel back in the mid 70s, when I had my rig for a couple of years, I was given a DOT pre trip checklist. And I went to, what the hell did we have before Stable? Office Depot. Yeah, it was Office Depot. And I bought a ream of paper and I paid them to print a ream of them checklists. And then I bought one of them 3-hole punches and a big binder. And from day one, whatever the date was, I did every item on that. And I mean, we're talking a whole page. And I'm glad I did because one day I found a cracked brake drum. My trip was done right then and there. The only trip that it made was into the service garage to get a new brake drum put on it. Had I not done a check, that brake drum would have broke, could have sliced an airline. I'm cranking 60,000 pound coils of steel on the bed of that truck. That would have been some carnage. How many items were on your checklist? You remember, Kathy? I know you check the engine, you're checking the oil, you're checking the coolant, and then air brake. Make sure you're building pressure, holding pressure. Make sure your parking brake is working properly. Headlights, turn signals. I don't know if you looked underneath to make sure that the undercarriage looked all right, muffler wasn't hanging. And how many of the drivers did a complete checklist? I'm sure you had some people shortcutting, like, oh, gee, I got to get rolling here. But it'll be interesting to see what the NTSB comes up with as to why that engine fell off. They're I mean, it could be from normal wear and tear. Metal does fatigue after a while. But those planes are supposed to go through rigorous inspections. And God forbid they find out that that engine was removed and replaced. Because then the NTSB is going to be, all right, show us exactly what you did. No shortcuts. Show us. Because I remember back, because oh, what's that series? Mayday, or air crash disasters or something. They did a whole segment on that plane that lost the engine, and the maintenance crew had to show the NTSB investigators how they shortcut removing and reinstalling that engine. And that's when they said, well, you stress cracked the pylon. And you didn't do a complete run up of the engine. You just started it. Okay, we're good. And unfortunately, As the plane took off, the engine reached maximum RPM. The crack in that pylon just got worse, and then and the air traffic controller happened to be just looking, watching, and he saw that engine fall off, and he radioed the pilot, "You lost an engine." And then the pilot come back and said, "Well, we're going to lose the plane." And they crashed, I think they crashed into a trailer park, if I remember properly. I think that jet went down in a trailer park. But seeing the videos with that plane, they're rolling down the runway. It starts to lift off, and it banked left. And at that point, those three crew members knew they were seconds away from dying. Talk about your life flashing before your eyes. Sad, sad, very sad situation, very sad. This is going to be a hell of an investigation. Although, like the guy from the NTSB said, it's going to take about 2 years for the report to come out. I mean, they're thorough. Those guys, that's why they get the big bucks. And UPS said these MD-11s have been great workhorses for cargo planes. The representative from UPS praised them. He said, "Man, these, you know, the strange thing is, when those planes first came out, there were some plane crashes. And everybody, "Oh, I'm not flying on an MD-11. But it seems like, and FedEx has them, DHL has MD-11s. They're great workhorses. Although one of the safest planes ever built was the Lockheed L-1011, also known as the Lockheed TriStar. I think that one had that was the same configuration. An engine on each wing and the engine in the tail. But if you look at the statistics, the L-1011 was one of the safest planes ever built, also known as the Lockheed TriStar. God, some of those L-1011s were 40 years old and they were still flying. But most of them, most of your planes after so long get converted to cargo jets. Or they go out somewhere in Nevada and get parked in the desert. Did you ever see videos on they call it the plane graveyard out in the Nevada desert? There's acres and acres and acres of jets. Matter of fact, when British Airways retired their 747s, the pilots flew them out there. And they had interviewed the one crew from British Airways, and they said the pilot said, "This is so sad because we're flying our favorite plane to the graveyard." Oh, look it up. Gargle it. In the Nevada desert is a jet graveyard. They take them out there, they strip them, and then they rip them to shreds for the scrap metal. Oh, it's sad. I watched some videos. They come down with that big clam bucket and just take a bite out of the plane. Rip a wing off, rip the tail off. But it's just acres and acres, as far as the eye can see. Planes parked in a row. God, it's been out there well over 50 years. But it's so sad just to see, like oh God, what the hell was the double decker jets? I can't remember what model they were. And there's just acres of them out there. They strip them for usable parts. And then once they've stripped them down, they shred the shit out of them. I had a hard time deciding on a background today because I've got several of these breaking news live, and I decided to go with this one. I'm thinking. I haven't made up my mind yet. I'm thinking of doing a background a day. Matter of fact, I found those ones with the palm trees and Hawaii with the water fountains, the waterfalls. I mean, how long, Kathy, did it take you to do your pre-inspection check? About half an hour. Yeah, I think I have 4 other ones that say breaking news. I have to start. I have to start sorting them. I think it's time for me to put that photographer's background rack together that I bought a year ago. Because then what I'm going to have to do is lay them all out. I'm pretty sure I've got 30. 25 easy. Different studio designs. Then I've got them Hawaiian ones. I think I'll save the Hawaiian ones for when I'm ass deep in snow out here. I'll be like, oh, I want to be here. Well, according to FedEx, the brake booster should be here tomorrow between 11 and 3. And as soon as the FedEx guy hands it to me, it's going in the truck right up to Ryan. Here. Here's your job for Friday. I'm almost afraid to ask him how much labor's going to be on this disaster. Oh my God. I went up to the bank and put $300 in my checking account that I had to pay for that goddamn booster. Of course, I walk in and who's smiling on the other side of the counter? Little Pixie Sarah. That precious little thing. I walked in and she went, "You're back." I says, "No, my front. This is my back." She didn't get the joke. It's an old joke. I told her, I said, they'll send me another survey. She goes, "Did you give me a good review?" I said, "Yeah, in the comments section, I said you're precious." She turned as red as this background. And the girl next to her goes, "Well, why didn't you come to me today? I could have used a good review." I wanted to tell her because Sarah's more precious than you are. What a cute little pixie. I'm trying to think. The hair, she has her hair cut like, oh God, who was the newscaster that used to get pissed off when they called her a pixie? Oh God, what the hell was her name? Because she had that kind of pixie haircut. I can't think of her name. I can see her. I can visualize her. They called her Perky. She hated that. The problem was she couldn't lose the perky image. Yeah, Katie Couric. Yeah, I could see her. I couldn't think of her name. She hated that when they called her perky and a pixie. I thought she was cute. I, re- I remember when she did a live colonoscopy because her husband had some form of rectal cancer, colon cancer or something. So they showed her getting ready, put the gown on. They give her that twilight sleep, and then they were sticking the old roto rooter. Yeah, she did a whole segment stressing people should get regular colonoscopies. The only thing she didn't talk about was drinking the liquid the day before. The colon drano. You drink. Matter of fact, I was scheduled for one. And I went down to the pharmacy and they give me this big fucking jug. And they said, okay, it's 1/3 colon drano, and then mix the other 2/3 with Gatorade. And I was like, yeah, okay, and you have to drink that gallon within an hour. Well, then you drink that gallon of colonic drano, and then you spend the next 8 hours in the bathroom. I know because my buddy's wife, matter of fact, they scheduled their colonoscopies for the same day. And she said, good thing our house has 2 bathrooms. Matter of fact, she told me, she said, I didn't bother leaving. She said, I just sat there with my iPad. Because she said, you no sooner get up and you're sitting right back down again. That's when I went, canceled. And my primary care doctor's still giving me hell. Oh, God, Kathy, I feel sorry for you having to go through that misery every 5 years. Oh, God. Yeah, I couldn't believe my buddy's wife when she said, I just took the iPad in the bathroom with me and played a game or something because she said I no sooner would get up, I have to sit right back down again. Matter of fact, she was so weak the next day on the way out to the car after the procedure, she fainted. And at that point, I made the phone call and said, cancel my appointment. Well, there's some other procedure. I can't remember what it's called. It's I guess it's like not as invasive as the Roto Rooter, but they never scheduled me for because I said I'll try something else, thank you. And I can't remember what the other procedure was, but they never called me back. Well, yeah, if you're considered high risk, yeah, it's something that you got to do. You definitely would, rather be safe than sorry. But I can't imagine and time flies. It's like, oh God, I got to do that again. I thought I just did that yesterday. Nope, it's been 5 years. Uh, did you mix your liquid with Gatorade, or did you just mix it with water? The pharmacist told me, well, it'll taste a little better if you mix it with Gatorade. Well, good for you, Ron. I can't remember what the less invasive procedure is called. But after I heard the horror story, I was like, nope, no Roto Rooter for me. I ain't drinking the liquid Drano. No, thank you. I ended up pouring the shit out, and I can't remember what I saved the jug for. It was a nice plastic jug, heavy duty. I think I used it for drain oil. Well, yeah, my car had its colonoscopy here. God, I miss my Passat. Yeah, there you go, Kathy. Somebody said, "Oh, you're full of shit." No, I'm not. Not today. That's it. Thanks, Ron. I knew somebody'd save me. Yeah. They never called me. After I canceled the appointment, she said, well, Doc, I can't remember what his name was, the proctologist. She said, he'll be calling to make you an appointment for a sigmoid, and never did. Oh, you got flavor packets. Not me. They just handed me the jug and said, mix it with Gatorade. Yeah, I drove by Ryan's today, and there's my poor car parked on the side of the building. I'll be watching for that FedEx guy. Is he here yet? Is he here yet? He'll hand me the box, and I'll be gone. Here you go, buddy. Here's Friday's job. God, I should have perfect brakes. God, new power booster, new master cylinder, new reservoir tank, new brake pads. That thing should stop on a dime and give me 9 cents change back. And hopefully that's the last of the repairs. I'm tired of ordering special tools and special parts. You know, the strange thing is, if I need calipers, I could have calipers here tomorrow. I ordered the brake pads. I had them in 2 days. I ordered the master cylinder. I had it in 3 days. All that stuff's available except the power booster. Evidently, they must not go bad that often. Although we are talking a 24-year-old part. But they still use them power boosters today. I can't believe not one auto parts store had one. Although, if you get one customer every 6 months, it's not worth stocking one. Matter of fact, in all the years, in all the cars I ever had, this is the first time I've ever had a power booster go bad. Master cylinder, yeah. Power booster, no. I ran into the guys from the, what do they call themselves? The Tuner Club. They've got all them hopped up Toyotas and Hondas with big turbos on them and everything. And the kid told me, you need, what do you call it? A blow off valve. I said, what's a blow off valve? He said, when you're accelerating and you go to shift, it makes that poofy noise that you hear. He was showing me on his car. I was like, I like that noise. He said, yeah, everybody knows you got a turbo. So I guess tomorrow I'll be on good old eBay looking for a blow off valve. A BOV. And he showed me where it's at. He said, you could do it yourself. It's a couple of clamps and a vacuum hose. It's right in the front of the engine. I was like, oh boy, I can't wait. Yeah, every time you go to shift, it gives you that. I was like, oh boy. I always wondered what that was. Every now and then there's a guy comes down the street with his hopped up Honda. I hear him go to shift and you hear that. Now I know what it is. A blow off valve. I can't wait. a new toy, a blow off valve. It's actually supposed to give you longer turbo life. With 154,000 miles, I guess I want to extend my turbo life. Matter of fact, they told me once I get it back to bring it over to one of their club meets and they'll tinker with it. Man, his car's got a big goddamn turbo right in the front by the grill. A big honking turbo. Yeah, the Ford engines have twin turbos. They're little things, they're cute. Two little turbochargers. You should have them on your truck, Kathy. You should have twin turbos on your F 150. There's a there's a guy that lives a couple of streets over that's got a Dodge Ram with a diesel, and he's got two big honking stacks up the back of the cab. And every now and then, when he steps on it, it belches black smoke. He says they call that making coal. Yeah, he'll be tinkering along and then tromp on it and two big clouds of black smoke belch out of them. God, them stacks got to be 6 inches. They're huge. Right up the back of the cab. The EPA doesn't like you when you do that kind of shit, though. And I remembered this morning, go out, I put the sticker on. I'm legal again. I think, oh, gee. This microphone just went into an echo mode. Oh, man. Now I know why I quit using this microphone. Well, I guess tomorrow there'll be a different microphone. Yeah. The EPA doesn't like when they, what the hell do they call it? Making coal, blowing coal, something like that. Although I'll tell you, the new flatbed that my neighbor has is a diesel. And you can't hear it run. He starts it up, you don't hear a thing. I don't know how they manage to quiet a diesel engine down to the point where you can't hear it. I said, that takes all the fun out of owning a diesel. Oh, yeah. I didn't notice there's a little box up in the corner that said, you could be buffering now and then. Thank you. That's why it's echoing. Yeah. It's not the microphone, it's Prism. I didn't even notice the little box in the corner. You could be subject to buffering. And I'm also subject to echoing. Oh, now it says you're excellent. Prism, make up your mind. Am I buffering or am I excellent? I still have the echo. It's going to be this microphone. I had all different kind of microphones in the last week and nothing echoed. And I use this one and it echoes. And the strange thing is the microphone doesn't have an echo knob. Maybe I'll go back to the red one. Yeah, I think tomorrow we'll go back to the red one. Even though you can't see it change colors. That mic was working fine. Although I've got it down to a science now. I put a, a universal mount on the end of the arm. And it only takes me like less than 5 minutes to swap microphones. Oh, it sounds like it's echoing to me, Ron. If you say it sounds good on your end, okay. I really like this mic too. I just, it's basically another one of them that my buddy bought, opened the box, looked at it, and put it on the shelf. See, too bad you can't see this mounting arm. It has LEDs built into it. The whole arm changes color. But I would have to have the camera mounted farther back to show the whole assembly. I got more contraptions. I must have 8 different mounting arms, different shock mount cages. I go overboard. But this mic came with its own shock mount cage. It's built right into the microphone. Yeah, I think tomorrow we'll go, well, swap out the red one. Although maybe I'll use the Blizzard, the white one that has the blue LEDs in it. Yeah, maybe I'll use the Blizzard tomorrow. My MXL Blizzard. Another mic that was brand new in the box, never used. My buddy was unbelievable. He'd go over that website, Sweetwater. That's what it's, Sweetwater. Go through the website and go, ooh, I like that microphone. And the neat thing, I ordered a set of microphones off of Sweetwater. I use them every now and then. That's the two that mount together, they're shorties. When you buy anything from Sweetwater, they put a bag of candy in the box. You get a little bag of candy. It says courtesy of Sweetwater. It had Tootsie Rolls in it and little miniature candy bars, and it's kind of cool. Oh, God, don't start that, Ron. I don't even want to hear about Christmas. Please. Christmas means snow. And I hate that white shit. People live in Cleveland all their life. It snows. They forget how to drive. Oh, just before showtime, my little sister called me. She's finally off work restrictions. She's back on the line, sucking up overtime. She said last Friday she worked 14 hours. She was getting ready to go home and they said, can you run such and such machine? And she went, yeah, okay, authorized for overtime, go over on line 2. 14 hours straight. I told her the problem is, it's nice to get all that overtime, but the government takes a big chunk out of it. And a vulture in a dead tree. That works perfect. And a vulture in a dead tree. Oh, oh, oh. Maybe we'll have to compose a song. The 12 Days of Grumpy. Yeah, we have to stretch that out. 5 new backgrounds. 4 microphone mounts. 3 USB cables. 2 turkey drumsticks. And a vulture in a dead tree. Yeah, we'll have to do that. We have to compose the 12 Days of Grumpy. But the end is, and a vulture in a dead tree. We're going to keep that one. I like that one. That could be funny. Every night we'll sing a line. On the first day of Christmas, T-Rex gave to me a vulture in a dead tree. Yep, we gotta compose a song. I know you guys have great imagination, so I can almost imagine what the 12 Days of Grumpy are going to end up with. Oh, this voice. My music teacher used to tell me to gargle with razor blades. I did sing in the school choir, but that was only for half a semester. But playing in the band and orchestra, that was for me. Saxophone, clarinet, trombone, trumpet. Although trombone and trumpet, that's hard on the lips. I had a big B flat tenor sax. I used to like we did a lot of Glenn Miller stuff in orchestra. And our orchestra director at certain parts, certain instruments would stand up. Like in the beginning of Glenn Miller's In the Mood, the saxophone, all of us saxophone players would stand up and we could get into that, boy. We'd be swinging. The only thing is, you had to make sure everybody swung at the same time. Man, there's nothing like banging a saxophone together, break your lip. Oh, not for me, Kathy. I can't carry a tune in a bucket. Nope. I had to have music. That is tough. Acapella choir is tough because it's too easy to get out of tune if you're listening to the person next to you. That takes talent. I couldn't do that. No. Yeah, acapella choir takes talent and earplugs. But it sounds wonderful. If everybody's voices are in tune, acapella choir is wonderful. But let one person get out of tune and it screws everybody up. Ah, I got a vulture in my throat. I stayed. I did choir mainly for the Christmas special because we had an accompanist with us. You know, we had a little ensemble, but going a cappella, no, not for Grumpy. No, 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 no. Too hard. Like I say, that takes talent. It really does. And we had a very nice a cappella choir. I think there were, I think it was 20 people. Most of them were female because the guys couldn't stay in tune. I liked my musical instruments. I played organ, accordion, piano, saxophone, clarinet. Not so much on the trombone and trumpet, that too hard on the lips. Matter of fact, my music instructor said, "You don't have lips for stick with the saxophone." Okay. I always wanted to play the soprano sax because it's about this big. I had the tenor. Let's see how many. There were two soprano sax players, three tenors, and four baritone. And the baritone sax is that big honking monster. But boy, we sounded good when we started our Glenn Miller. I couldn't play any of them instruments right now if somebody put a gun to my head and said, play or I'm pulling the trigger. I do it, pull the trigger. But boy, my grandmother, oh man. That was my mother's mother. She could play honky tonk piano and make that sucker squeal, man. That piano would be rocking. She'd play it standing up. It was an upright, old upright. She bought it out of a bar. I think when she bought it, it was like 50 years old. It took 8 guys to move it into the house. That's how heavy it was. But boy, when I could get her to, I'd say, "Come on, Greg, play, man. Honky tonk, come on." Because she used to play in the bars. Like you would see in the old westerns, you know. That's what she did. She played piano in a bar. And then the bar was going to close. The bar closed up. And the guy was going to scrap the piano when she went, "No!" He said, "Well, you pay to move it, and it's yours." And it took 8 guys to move that heavy monster. That's like we had a girl that played, what the hell is that instrument called? Bassoon? I think it was called a bassoon. Son of a bitch was like 6 foot long. And then it had this little dinky mouthpiece. But the best part was when my middle sister was in marching band, she played the fucking tuba. Talk about somebody that had a lot of hot air. Yeah, the band director came up with this idea. He had 6 girls playing tuba. And at halftime, they would do their own little program. And they were called, get this, the Oompa Dolls. Yeah, the Oompa Dolls. 6 girls playing tuba. They had their own dance routine, you know. Yeah, that goddamn bassoon was like fucking 6 foot. I'll never forget the first time she come in the band room with it. I said, "What the hell's that?" "It's a bassoon." "A baboon?" "Not a baboon, a bassoon." And then it's got this little spindly mouthpiece. Big ass instrument, little spindly mouthpiece. Yeah, bassoon. You gonna be home on time? I'll bassoon there. I'll bassoon. Okay, you're gonna bassoon home. Okay. I'd like to know who named that thing that. Some guy sitting around going, "What are we gonna call this big thing?" I know. We'll call it a bassoon. A what? A bassoon. Okay. There was a couple other instruments that had that little spindly mouthpiece. I can't remember what that instrument was called, but the big one was the bassoon. Because in marching band, my buddy played the French horn. And you have to stick your hand in the end of it to control the sound. Hey, I can't get my hand out. Oh, oboe. That's the other one with that little spindly mouthpiece. It's like a straw. Yeah, an oboe, oboe, bassoon. All right, Rudy, we'll bassooning ya. Bassoon. Go to the zoo and you'll see a baboon play a bassoon. Oh, that was a sick one there. I went to the zoo today. What did you see? I saw a baboon play a bassoon. Really? Yep. Okay. Yeah, a smaller bassoon is called an oboe. Why didn't they call it a bassoonette? I'll never forget. It was the first day of orchestra. And of course, I come in with my tenor sax, and this girl comes in with this tree limb. I said, what the hell is that? It's a bassoon. It looked like a tree limb with a straw. And it had two reeds. Everybody says it's a hell of a between a bassoon and an oboe. They're two of the most difficult instruments to play because when you have that twin reed, you have to like work it with your tongue, from what I'm told. My saxophone only had one reed. God, I miss those days. After high school, I sold it. I got twice what I paid for it. I made out on selling that goddamn saxophone. Because I took it up to the instrument shop and I had it all reconditioned. new pads and new this and new that. And then when I sold it, I got twice what I paid for it. Matter of fact, everybody had gold plated. My sax was silver plated. I was the oddball. I used to shine that sucker up. I miss those days when I was talented. And you know what, Kathy? I could not read one note of music. I played by ear. My music instructor, I really baffled the shit out of him. He said, "How the hell can you do that?" I said, "Simple. Have the orchestra play through the song, and then we'll do it a second time, and I'll join in." He'd hand me sheet music. I, "What do you give me that for? I can't read that shit. All that squiggly bullshit on all them lines." I would set it on the music stand to look impressive. Couldn't read it. Matter of fact, the one time I had it upside down. Yeah. Played every instrument: piano, organ, accordion, saxophone, clarinet by ear. That's why trombone was so hard, because you make the notes with your lips. Everybody thinks it's no, you're a good trombone or anybody that plays an instrument with that cup builds up a real heavy. They got really strong lips. Me, I couldn't enough. I stuck with the other wind instruments. Although I did play violin too. Matter of fact, I bought a used violin at the Salvation Army. I paid $10 for it. It needed strings. So I took it up to the music store and they put strings on it. And I tinkered around with it, taught myself how to play it. Matter of fact, I used to piss my music teacher off because I played it like country western style on my knee. "That's not how you play it." Nope. There was one instrument I really wanted to learn how to play: banjo. But banjo, you have to use two fingers, But I always wanted to learn how to play a banjo. I thought that instrument to this day is so cool. But I couldn't figure out the fingering. There was, oh God, oh man, it's got to be 50, 60 years ago. There was a musical group, and there were like 30 members, and it was all banjo, all 30 banjo players. And I can't remember the name of the group. It's got to be 50, 60 years ago. The sound from that group was amazing, but it was 30 people playing banjo. It's a difficult instrument. You know, banjo players make it look simple because you got to use the two fingers. You don't play it like a guitar. Yeah. Is that what the name of it was? British Banjo Orchestra. And it's all banjo. Yeah, there's like 30 or 40 of them. The sound is amazing. British Banjo Orchestra. That's got to be it. There can't be more than one group of 30 or 40 banjo players. Are they on YouTube? I'll have to look them up. It's got to be easy 50 years ago when I heard them. And I was just enthralled. There's nothing better than hearing 40 banjos playing at once. That's it for the coffee. Tonight I am having the last of the sauerkraut and Hungarian sausage with a chunk about like that of baguette, all buttered. I can feel my arteries clogging just thinking about it. No, this was banjos. It wasn't ukuleles. No, this was like 30 guys playing banjo. Because they were on TV. Oh God, it was Carson. It might have been on Carson where I heard them, but it was like 30 or 40 banjo players. Every time I hear the word ukulele, it makes me think of what the hell was that idiot, Tiny Tim? Tiptoe through the tulips with me. Oh, chicken fried steak. I'm going to have to use my Cracker Barrel gift card because they make excellent chicken fried steak. Oh, you got to have the pepper gravy. Oh, yeah, that makes it. That's got to be it. That name rings a bell. Fred Waring. That's got to be it, Ron. That name really rings a bell. That has got to be it. Man, the things that you remember from 50 years ago. Fred Waring, yeah, gotta be. Because they were, the first time I saw them, they were on Carson. Or no, not Carson. Red Skelton. Man, Fred Waring. I'll have to look that up. That's gotta be it, Ron. I knew somebody would save me. You guys are amazing. I mentioned something and can't remember shit, and then you find it for me. Of course, you're sitting there Googling it, you know. Well, I could do that over, if I had the other computer going over here, I could, oh, okay. But that takes the fun out of it. It's more fun for me to mention something and then voila! Could you imagine somebody today trying to do a remake of Fred Waring's Banjo Orchestra? They'd get run out of town on a rail. You want a what? Banjo? What a great sound, though. Too bad I'm so goddamn old. I would love to learn how to play a banjo. Although they're probably frickin' expensive. That's one thing you hardly see at Goodwill anymore. Used instruments. They don't want them. What do you mean a used tuba? We don't want that thing. Get it out of here. I'll tell you, I stopped donating to Goodwill because they are so fucking picky. Oh, no. It's missing a knob? No. No, we don't want that. Nope. I have this nice, perfectly working radio, but it's missing a knob. Nope, take it home. Nope, We don't want it. Does he really? Wow. Fred Waring has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame? I didn't think he was that famous. Unreal, really. That is one thing I would love to walk. I would love to walk the Hollywood Walk of Fame and just see all the stars I remember when I was a little kid, like Roy Rogers. I know he's got one. I would love to take that walk. Oh, Kathy, they are so goddamn picky with shit now. Like I told the girl, I said, if it was in perfect condition, I'd keep it for myself. Somebody can use it. Half the clothing that I wanted to donate, when I moved from that house down here, I had like a closet full. I pull up, I open the trunk, and a guy and a woman come out, and they're like, no, no, okay, we'll take this one. I said, if you're going to be that picky, forget it. Get away from the car. I said, there's people out there that would love to have this clothing. Oh, no, no, it's dated. Well, if it was brand new, you think I'd be giving it to you? Somebody will wear it. Oh, tie dye? No. I see people wearing tie dye stuff to this day. I think you can still buy tie dye clothing. They were like, too dated. I literally told them, get away from the, get. Give me those back. See ya. I went down to Salvation Army. They took everything. I told the girl, I said, goddamn Goodwill started picking through it. She went, oh. She told the kid, bring out a cart. Here. Do you want a receipt for your taxes? No, no. Yeah, I found out there's an organization called Purple Heart Veterans. And they take all kinds of stuff. Yeah, my neighbor was telling me Purple Heart Veterans. All you do is bag it up and you put it on your porch. And they come pick it up. Goddamn Goodwill going through it. I heard that, Kathy, not too long ago. As a matter of fact, there was an article about a girl that somewhere in Cleveland downtown, maybe in Tremont, she opened a vintage clothing store and she said business is booming. She can't keep enough stuff in the store. And the article said the younger generation goes crazy over vintage stuff. Oh man, I remember when I was in high school, all the costumes. There were cabinets full. Costumes for every, Shakespeare or Macbeth. I used to like the top hats. Yeah, especially when they do the Christmas play. I would always be like the poor kid in the ripped clothing. I never got to wear the fancy coats and the top hat, the frilly collars. No, you're the dirty poor kid with the ripped clothing and barefoot. Uh, do I get to say anything? No. I always got the shitty parts. Okay, you can have a line. Can I have some more, please? No. Bad memories. Christmas plays. Or I would be guy painting the scenery. Do I get a part in the play? No, but you can paint the scenery. I always wanted to paint a hand with a finger. Strolling down the street one day. Where'd that come from? Quick, stand in front of it. Oh man, really? Man, that's got to be tough doing periodical clothing. Did you really? Wow. In good old Bedford. Unreal. Wow, you're quite talented. It's a shame you stab yourself with scissors. Oh, 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 oh. You had that coming. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. I used to make historical clothing. Ow, 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 ow. Oh. Okay, I'll be good. I'll be good. I couldn't pass it up. When do you get the stitches out? Should be soon. They usually only go about 5 days. I'm glad you thought that was funny. I couldn't pass it up. It just came to me. That's all right. Razor knife. I did mine worse than you. I did mine with a goddamn box cutter. Away, away, not towards you. About a week. It also depends on how fast a healer you are, too. Some people heal a little faster than others. It'll be nice to get your hand back, though. Having to keep it dry, can't get it wet. That was one of the main things the doctor told me, because he had to put so many stitches underneath. Don't get it wet. Them stitches are... Okay, okay, okay. Yep. Ron's squeamish stomach is acting up. That's okay, Ron. You can go watch cartoons while Kathy and I go watch an autopsy. Oh, come on. Why do I have such a hard time finding that? Why am I having a hard time finding this? I put everything back in alphabetical order. How come I can't find it? Oh, never mind. I found it. It's under the singer's name. We know where, right here. All right, it's been another fun night. And we got to work on the 12 days of grumpy. I kind of like that idea. All right, everybody, take care. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And we will meet again tomorrow night. See ya. Take two. See ya.